Welcome to your Borderless Finance. Tonight, you're learning everything you need to know about getting your ITIN number, your Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. Whether you're wide awake and taking notes or drifting off to sleep, this 2-hour guide will walk you through the entire application process step by step from start to finish. Get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin your journey to financial access in the United States. Let's start with the most important question. What exactly is an ITIN number and why do you need one? An ITIN stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. It's a 9-digit tax processing number issued by the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, for people who need to file United States tax returns but don't have and aren't eligible for a Social Security number. The format looks just like a Social Security number, 9 digits arranged like this: 3 digits, dash, 2 digits, dash, 4 digits. But instead of starting with any number, ITIN numbers always start with the number 9. So it looks like 9XXX dash XX dash XXXX. That 9 at the beginning tells banks, employers, and financial institutions that this is an ITIN, not a Social Security number. Now let me be very clear about what an ITIN is and what it isn't, because there's a lot of confusion about this. An ITIN is a tax identification number. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It allows you to comply with United States tax laws. It allows you to file tax returns. It allows you to open bank accounts at many institutions. It allows you to apply for credit cards and build credit. It allows you to pay taxes on income you earn. These are all legal, legitimate uses of an ITIN number. But here's what an ITIN does not do. An ITIN does not give you permission to work in the United States. It is not a work authorization. It does not change your immigration status in any way. It does not make you eligible for Social Security benefits. It does not provide you a path to citizenship or a green card. It does not give you the right to vote. And it does not protect you from immigration enforcement. The ITIN is simply a tax number. The IRS needs a way to identify you in their system so you can pay taxes. That's the sole purpose of an ITIN. And here's something very important to understand about the IRS and immigration. The Internal Revenue Service is part of the Department of Treasury. Their job is to collect taxes and enforce tax laws. Immigration enforcement, agencies like ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and USCIS, those are part of the Department of Homeland Security. These are separate government departments with separate missions. The IRS does not share ITIN information with immigration enforcement agencies. There are federal laws that protect tax information privacy. The IRS has publicly stated multiple times that their mission is tax collection, not immigration enforcement. They want people to pay taxes regardless of immigration status. If the IRS shared ITIN information with immigration authorities, people wouldn't apply for ITINs and the government would lose billions in tax revenue. So from a purely practical standpoint, the IRS has every incentive to keep your ITIN information private and focused on taxes only.
Now, does this mean there's zero risk? Nothing in life has zero risk, but applying for an ITIN is a legal process. You are complying with tax laws. Millions of people have ITINs. It's a normal part of the United States tax system. So while I can't tell you there's absolutely zero risk in anything, I can tell you that getting an ITIN is a legal, established process that millions of people go through every year without any immigration consequences. So who can get an ITIN? Who is eligible? The IRS has specific rules about this. You can apply for an ITIN if you meet one of these conditions. First, if you're a non-resident alien who needs to file a United States tax return. Maybe you have income from U.S. sources, rental property, investments, business income, and you need to report it. Second, if you're a U.S. resident alien who is filing a U.S. tax return based on days present in the United States. Third, if you're a dependent or spouse of a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. This is very common. Maybe your spouse is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, but you're not. You can get an ITIN to be claimed as a dependent or to file jointly. Fourth, if you're a dependent or spouse of a non-resident alien visa holder. For example, if someone is in the U.S. on a work visa and you're their dependent. Fifth, if you're a non-resident alien student, professor, or researcher filing a U.S. tax return or claiming an exception. And sixth, if you're a dependent or spouse of a non-resident alien student, professor, or researcher. Now, the IRS has expanded these categories over the years. There are actually more situations where you can get an ITIN, but the key principle is this. You need a federal tax purpose. You need a reason related to United States taxes. The most common reasons people apply are they have income they need to report, they're being claimed as a dependent on someone else's return, or they want to file a tax return to establish a record even if they don't owe taxes. And here's something important. You can get an ITIN even if you don't currently owe any taxes. Maybe you don't have much income. Maybe your income is below the filing threshold. You can still get an ITIN. Why would you do this? Because having an ITIN opens financial doors. You can open bank accounts. You can apply for certain credit cards. You can build a credit history. You can establish yourself in the financial system. So even if you don't strictly need to file taxes this year, getting an ITIN can be a smart financial move. Let's talk about the different types of ITINs. Actually, that's a bit of a trick statement. There aren't really different types of ITINs. An ITIN is an ITIN. The number doesn't indicate why you got it or what your status is. It's just a 9-digit number. But ITINs are issued for different purposes, and it's helpful to understand the common categories. The most common category is ITIN for tax filing purposes. This is someone who has income and needs to report it. They might be self-employed, working as an independent contractor, running a business, earning rental income, or having investment income. The second common category is dependents, parents or spouses getting ITINs for their children or family members so they can claim them on tax returns. Children can have ITINs. There's no age minimum. Babies can have ITINs. The third category is spouses. If you're married to a U.S. citizen or resident alien, you might get an ITIN so you can file taxes jointly with your spouse. Filing jointly often results in lower taxes, so this is very common. The fourth category is what I call financial access ITINs. People who get an ITIN primarily to access banking and credit, even if their tax filing obligation is minimal. This is becoming more common as people realize that an ITIN is the key to building credit and accessing the financial system. Now, let's talk about the ITIN application process. What are the steps? How does it actually work? I'm going to walk you through this in detail, step by step, but let me give you the overview first so you understand the big picture. Step 1, gather your documents. You'll need to prove your identity and foreign status. Step 2, complete IRS Form W-7. This is the application for an ITIN. Step 3, attach your federal tax return if you're required to file one. Step 4, submit everything to the IRS through one of 3 methods: mail, in person at an IRS office, or through a certifying acceptance agent. Step 5, wait for processing. This typically takes 7 to 11 weeks, sometimes longer. Step 6, receive your ITIN number in the mail. And Step 7, use your ITIN to file taxes, open bank accounts, apply for certain credit cards, and build the credit history. That's the overview, 7 steps. Now, let's go deeper into each step, because the devil's in the details, and I want you to understand exactly what to do. Step 1, gathering your documents. This is arguably the most important step, because if you don't have the right documents, your application will be rejected, and you'll have to start over. The IRS has very specific requirements about what documents they'll accept. You need documents that prove 2 things: your identity and your foreign status. Identity means proving who you are: your name, date of birth, photograph. Foreign status means proving you're not a U.S. citizen. Usually one document can prove both. The best document, the gold standard, is a valid passport. If you have a passport from your home country and it's not expired, that's your best option. A passport proves both identity and foreign status in one document. The IRS strongly prefers passports. If you send your passport, your application is much more likely to be approved on the first try. But what if you don't have a passport? Maybe it expired, maybe you never had one, maybe you can't get one for various reasons. Don't worry, the IRS accepts other documents. But if you're not using a passport, you need to send a combination of documents. You need at least 2 documents total. One must have your photo. Common acceptable documents include a national identification card from your country with your name, address, date of birth, and expiration date, a U.S. driver's license, a civil birth certificate. This proves foreign status but doesn't have a photo, so you need it plus a photo ID, a foreign driver's license, a U.S. state identification card, a foreign voter registration card, a U.S. military identification card, a foreign military identification card, medical records but only for dependents under age 6, school records but only for dependents under age 14 or under age 18 if they're students.
Now, here's something critical to understand. The IRS will only accept original documents or certified copies from the issuing agency. They will not accept photocopies. They will not accept notarized copies. They will not accept documents certified by anyone except the original issuing agency. So if you send a photocopy of your passport, your application will be rejected. You must send the original passport or a certified copy from the passport agency of your country. This is a major concern for many people. You want me to mail my original passport to the IRS? What if it gets lost? This is a legitimate concern. Your passport is an incredibly important document. Mailing it to a government agency, even the IRS, feels risky. The IRS says they mail documents back, and most of the time they do. But documents do occasionally get lost in the mail. This is why many people use a Certifying Acceptance Agent, which we'll talk about in detail later. But if you're mailing your application, you have a choice. Send your original documents and hope they come back safely, or find certified copies from the issuing agency, which can be difficult and expensive. There's no perfect solution, but people successfully apply for ITINs every day using both methods. Let's talk about document specifics for different family members. If you're applying for yourself, you need the identity and foreign status documents I just described. If you're applying for a spouse, they need the same types of documents. If you're applying for a dependent child, the same rules apply, but there are some special considerations. For children under 6, you can use medical records as one document. For children under 14 or under 18 if they're students, you can use school records. These records must show the child's name, date of birth, and the name and address of the school or medical facility. They must be recent, and again, they must be original or certified copies. For babies and very young children who don't have passports yet, you typically use a birth certificate plus medical records or vaccination records with a photo if available. Now, a common question: what if my documents are in another language? What if my passport or birth certificate is in Spanish or Mandarin or Arabic or any language other than English? The IRS requires that all documents not in English must be accompanied by a certified translation. The translation must include a statement that it's accurate, and it must be certified by someone competent to translate. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to hire a professional translator, although that's the safest route. A bilingual friend or community member can provide a translation if they're willing to sign a statement certifying its accuracy. The statement should say something like, "I certify that I am competent to translate from Spanish to English and that the attached translation is accurate and complete to the best of my knowledge." Include the translator's name, address, and signature. Attach this to your document. The IRS just wants to be able to read and understand your documents. Step 2. Completing Form W-7. This is the actual ITIN application form. It's officially called Application for IRS Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. You can download it from the IRS website at irs.gov. Just search for Form W-7 and you'll find it. The form is 4 pages long, but you only fill out the first 2 pages. Pages 3 and 4 are instructions. Let's go through the form line by line so you know exactly what to write. At the very top, you'll see check boxes for why you're applying. Check the box that applies to you. The most common is box A, which says, I'm applying for an ITIN because I'm required to file a U.S. tax return. Or box H, which says, I'm a dependent of a U.S. citizen or resident alien. Or box B if you're a spouse. Choose the box that matches your situation. If none seem to fit perfectly, box H is the catch-all for most dependents and family members. Line 1A, your legal name. This must match exactly what's on your passport or identification documents. Last name, first name, middle name. Use the exact spelling. If your documents show multiple names, use all of them. Don't use nicknames. Line 2A, name at birth if different from line 1A. This only applies if your legal name now is different from the name on your birth certificate. For example, if you got married and changed your name. Leave this blank if it doesn't apply. Line 2, your mailing address. This is where the IRS will send your ITIN letter. Use an address where you can reliably receive mail. If you don't have a permanent address, use a friend's or family member's address with their permission. Include apartment numbers, street address, city, state, zip code. Be very careful with this. If you write the address wrong, you won't get your ITIN letter and you'll have to contact the IRS to get it resent, which is a hassle. Line 3, your foreign address if different from line 2. If you're living in the United States and gave a U.S. address on line 2, leave line 3 blank. If you're applying from outside the United States, put your foreign address here. Line 4, your birth information. Country of birth, state or province, city, date of birth. Use the format mm/dd/YYYY for the date, month, day, year. So if you were born on March 15, 1985, you'd write 03/15/1985. Line 5, your country of citizenship. What country's passport do you hold? Write that country's name. Line 6, foreign tax identification number if you have one. This is your tax ID number from your home country if you have one. If you don't have one, or if your country doesn't use tax ID numbers, just write NA or leave it blank. Line 7, your visa information if applicable. This asks for your visa type and number. If you entered the U.S. on a visa, fill this out. If you don't have a visa, or if you're not in the U.S., leave it blank. Be honest here. This information isn't shared with immigration authorities, but you should always be truthful on government forms. Line 9. Are you a resident or non-resident of the United States for tax purposes? This is a complicated question, and the answer depends on your specific situation. The IRS has a detailed test called the Substantial Presence Test to determine if you're a resident for tax purposes. Generally, if you've been in the U.S. for more than 183 days in the current year, or if you've been in the U.S. for parts of the last 3 years and meet certain calculations, you might be a resident for tax purposes. But don't stress too much about this. If you're not sure, you can check non-resident, and it won't prevent you from getting an ITIN. This affects how you file taxes, but not whether you can get an ITIN. Line 10. Identification documents you're submitting. Check the boxes for what you're sending. Passport? Check that box. Birth certificate? Check that. National identification card? Check that. List whatever documents are in your envelope. Line 10. Signature and date. You must sign the form. If you're applying for a dependent child, the parent or guardian signs. Sign your name, write the date, and write your phone number if you have one. The phone number is optional, but helpful if the IRS has questions. That's the main part of Form W-7. There's also a section called Part 2, Acceptance Agent or Applicant's Declaration and Signature, but you only fill this out if you're using an acceptance agent, which we'll discuss later. But here's an important detail. If you're applying for multiple family members, yourself, your spouse, your children, you need a separate Form W-7 for each person. If you're applying for a family of 4, you need 4 separate Web-7 forms, 4 sets of documents, and 4 ITIN numbers will be issued. You can mail them all together in one envelope, but each person needs their own complete application. Step 3. Attaching your federal tax return. Now, this step might or might not apply to you depending on your situation. The general rule is, if you're required to file a U.S. tax return, you must attach it to your Form W-7 when you apply. The IRS wants to see why you need an ITIN. If you're filing taxes, that's proof of your federal tax purpose. But there are exceptions. If you meet one of the exceptions, you don't have to file a tax return. Let me explain the most common exceptions. Exception 1. You're a dependent of a U.S. citizen or resident alien. If someone is claiming you as a dependent on their tax return, you can get an I-10 without filing your own return. You'll check the appropriate exception box on Form W-7. Exception 2. You're a spouse of a U.S. citizen or resident alien. Similar to dependents, spouses can get I-10s to be claimed on someone else's return without filing their own. Exception 3. You're a non-resident alien filing Form 1040-NR purely to claim a refund under a tax treaty. Exception 4. You need an I-10 for third-party reporting. For example, maybe you're receiving income that will be reported to the IRS by someone else, and they need your I-10 to file their forms correctly. There are a few other specific exceptions listed in the Form W-7 instructions. If you meet an exception, you check the exception box on Form W-7, and you don't need to attach a tax return. This makes the application simpler because you don't have to prepare a tax return just to get an I-10. But if you don't meet an exception, you must attach a federal tax return. Which form you file depends on your situation. If you're a U.S. resident for tax purposes, you file Form 1040, the standard U.S. individual tax return, or one of its variants like 1040-SR. If you're a non-resident for tax purposes, you file Form 1040-NR, the non-resident alien tax return. Preparing these tax returns can be complicated, especially if you're not familiar with U.S. tax law. You might want to consult with a tax preparer or use tax software. But here's the thing, you can't e-file your tax return when you're applying for an I-10 because you don't have an I-10 yet to put on the return. Instead, you write I-10 to be requested in the space where the I-10 would go, and you paper file the return along with your Form W-7. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're self-employed and you earned money doing landscaping work. You need to report that income and pay taxes on it. You prepare Form 1040, reporting your income and calculating your taxes. Where the form asks for your Social Security number or I-10, you write I-10 to be requested, or sometimes you can write applied for. Then you attach that Form 1040 to your Form W-7 along with your documents and mail everything together. The IRS processes your I-10 application first, assigns you an I-10, then processes your tax return using that new I-10. It's a sequential process. One more important point about tax returns. If you're married and filing jointly with your spouse, and one of you has an I-10 or Social Security number, but the other doesn't, you can both apply for I-10s at the same time, or the person without one can apply while the other uses their existing number. You'd prepare a joint tax return with one SSN or I-10 filled in, and I-10 to be requested for the other spouse, and attach Form W-7 for the spouse who needs an I-10.
Step 4. Submitting your application. Now that you've gathered your documents, filled out Form W-7, and attached your tax return if necessary, you need to send everything to the IRS. You have 3 options for how to submit your application: mail, in person at an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center, or through a Certifying Acceptance Agent. Let's discuss each option in detail so you can choose the best one for your situation. Option 1. Mailing your application. This is the most common method. You put your Form W-7, your supporting documents, and your tax return, if applicable, into an envelope and you mail it to the IRS. But you don't mail it to just any IRS address. There's a specific address for ITIN applications. If you're submitting from within the United States, you mail it to Internal Revenue Service, Austin Service Center, ITIN Operation, P.O. Box 149342, Austin, TX 78714-9342. That's the address. Write it clearly on your envelope. If you're submitting from outside the United States, there's a different address: Internal Revenue Service, ITIN Operation, P.O. Box 1494342, Austin, TX 78714-9342, USA. It's similar, but make sure you include USA if you're mailing internationally. Now, here's something very important. Use a trackable mailing method. Don't just put a regular stamp on your envelope and drop it in a mailbox. These are original documents, irreplaceable documents. You want to know that they arrived safely. In the United States, use USPS certified mail with return receipt requested. This costs a few extra dollars, but you get a tracking number and you receive confirmation when the IRS receives your envelope. You can track it online. You know it didn't get lost. If you're mailing from outside the United States, use your country's equivalent of certified or registered mail with tracking. DHL, FedEx, and UPS also delivered to P.O. boxes now in some cases, though USPS is usually the most reliable for P.O. box delivery within the U.S. The mailing option is simple and straightforward, but it has 2 significant downsides. First, you're mailing your original documents, your passport, your birth certificate. These are precious, irreplaceable documents, and they'll be in the mail and sitting at the IRS for weeks. There's a risk, however small, that they could be lost or damaged. The IRS does mail documents back to you, usually within 4 weeks after they process your application, but things do occasionally go wrong. Documents get lost, mail gets delayed. It's a real concern. The second downside is processing time. When you mail your application, it goes into a queue with thousands of other applications. The IRS processes them in the order received. Current processing times are 7 to 11 weeks on average, but during busy tax season, January through April, it can be even longer, sometimes 3 to 4 months. That's a long time to wait. Option 2, applying in person at an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center. The IRS has offices around the United States called Taxpayer Assistance Centers, or TACs. Some of these TACs can accept ITIN applications in person. You make an appointment, you go to the office, an IRS employee reviews your documents right there, and you hand in your application. The big advantage of this method is that the IRS employee can look at your original documents, verify them, and then give your documents back to you immediately. You don't have to mail your passport. You walk out with your passport still in your hand. This is a huge relief for many people. The downside is that not all TACs offer ITIN services, and even the ones that do require appointments, which can be hard to get. You also have to physically go to an IRS office during business hours, which might not be convenient. To use this option, you'd call the IRS at their main number, 1-800-829-1040, and tell them you want to make an appointment for ITIN application assistance at a Taxpayer Assistance Center. They'll check if there's a TAC near you that offers this service, and they'll schedule an appointment. When you go to your appointment, Bring your Form W-7, your original documents, and your tax return if applicable. The IRS employee will review everything, make copies of your documents, and return your originals to you. Then they submit your application internally. You still have to wait for processing, the same 7 to 11 weeks, but at least your documents are safely back in your possession. One thing to note, not every IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center provides ITIN application services. Some offices do, some don't. It varies by location and staffing. So when you call to make an appointment, specifically ask if that office can handle ITIN applications. If they can't, ask if there's another location nearby that can, or consider the other options. Option 3, using a certifying acceptance agent. This is, in my opinion, the best option for most people, and I want to explain it in detail because many people don't know this option exists. A certifying acceptance agent, abbreviated CAA, is a person or business that has been authorized by the IRS to help people apply for ITINs. Think of them as IRS-approved middlemen. They're trained and certified to review your documents and forward your application to the IRS. The huge advantage of using a CAA is this. You show your original documents to the CAA, they examine them, they certify that they've seen the original documents, and then you take your documents back home with you. The CAA sends certified copies or a certificate of accuracy to the IRS instead of your original documents. You never have to mail your passport. You never have to be separated from your vital documents. This is a game changer for people who are understandably nervous about mailing their passports.
Who can be a certifying acceptance agent? Usually they're tax professionals, accountants, enrolled agents, CPAs, tax preparers, but they can also be colleges, universities, financial institutions, or accounting firms. The IRS maintains a list of CAAs on their website. To become a CAA, someone has to apply to the IRS, complete training, pass a test, and agree to follow IRS procedures. Once approved, they're authorized to assist with ITIN applications. Here's how the process works with a CAA. You contact a CAA in your area. Many CAAs advertise their services in immigrant communities. You make an appointment. You bring your Form W-7, your original documents, and your tax return if you have one. The CAA reviews your documents carefully, checks that everything is in order, and examines your original passport or other documents. They then fill out IRS Form W-7 COA, which is Certificate of Accuracy. This form says, I, the CAA, have examined the original documents and I certify they are genuine and accurate. The CAA keeps a copy for their records and sends your Form W-7, the W-7 COA certificate, and your tax return to the IRS. Your original documents stay with you. You walk out of the meeting with your passport in your hand. The IRS processes your application based on the CAA's certification that they've seen your real original documents. Now, there is usually a fee for CAA services. CAAs are providing a valuable service, their expertise, their time, their IRS certification, and they typically charge for it. Fees vary widely. Some CAAs charge $50 to $100 per application. Some charge more, especially if they're also preparing your tax return. Some offer discounted rates for families applying for multiple ITINs at once. The fee is not paid to the IRS. The ITIN itself is free. The fee goes to the CAA for their service. In my opinion, this fee is worth it for the peace of mind of not having to mail your passport. But that's a personal decision based on your financial situation. To find a CAA near you, go to the IRS website, irs.gov, and search for Acceptance Agent Program or CAA List. The IRS publishes a list of authorized CAAs. You can search by location. You can also ask around in your local immigrant community. Often there are well-known CAAs who serve specific communities. Tax preparers who work with immigrants often become CAAs because it's a service their clients need.
Don't be afraid to call a few CAAs, ask about their fees, ask about their experience, and choose one you feel comfortable with. One important note: make sure you're working with a certifying acceptance agent, not just an acceptance agent. There are two types. Acceptance agents can help you fill out the forms, but they still have to send your original documents to the IRS. Certifying acceptance agents can certify your documents and send copies. The word certifying is key. When you contact someone, ask, "Are you a certifying acceptance agent? Can you certify my documents so I don't have to mail my originals?" If they say yes, great. If they say no, they might still be helpful, but you won't get the main benefit. Now, let's talk about step 5, waiting for processing. After you submit your application, whether by mail, in person at a TAC, or through a CAA, your application goes to the IRS Austin Service Center for processing. This is where all I-10 applications are handled. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The wait can be long. The IRS says to expect 7 to 11 weeks for processing. That's about 2 to 3 months. But in reality, especially during tax season, January through April, it can take longer. 3 months, sometimes even 4 months. I know this is frustrating. You've done everything right. You've submitted all your documents, you've filled out the forms correctly, and now you just have to wait. There's no way to speed up the process, you can't pay extra for faster processing, you just have to be patient. During this waiting period, what's happening? Your application is in a queue with thousands of others. IRS employees are working through the queue in order. When they get to your application, they'll examine your Form W-7, review your supporting documents or the CAA's certification, check your tax return if you submitted one, and examine your original passport or other documents. They then assign you an I-10. They enter it into their system, generate a letter called a CP-565 notice, and mail it to the address you provided on your Form W-7. That letter contains your I-10 number. It's official proof that you have an I-10. Guard it carefully. The CP-565 notice is an important document. It's proof that you have an I-10. Make several copies of this letter. Keep the original in a safe place with your other important documents, birth certificate, passport, etc., and keep copies in separate locations. You'll need to show this letter when you open bank accounts, apply for credit cards, or file future tax returns. Some institutions will ask to see your CP-565 letter as proof of your I-10. Having copies readily available makes life easier. What if your I-10 letter never arrives? What if weeks turn into months and you still haven't received anything? This happens sometimes. Mail gets lost, addresses get written down wrong, delivery issues occur. If it's been more than 12 weeks since you submitted your application and you haven't received your I-10 letter, it's time to call the IRS. Use that same number, 1-800-829-1040. Explain that you applied for an I-10, it's been more than 12 weeks, and you haven't received your letter. The IRS representative can look up your application, confirm whether an I-10 was issued, and if so, they can mail you a duplicate CP-565 letter. They can also confirm the address they have on file. Maybe you moved since you applied. Maybe you wrote your address unclearly on the form. They can update your address and resend the letter. Another scenario, what if you receive a letter from the IRS, but it's not the CP-565 with your I-10? What if you receive a rejection letter? The IRS will send you a letter explaining why your application was rejected. Common reasons include you didn't include acceptable identification documents. Your documents were photocopies instead of originals or certified copies. You didn't sign Form W-7. You didn't attach a tax return when you were required to. Or there was some discrepancy in your information that the IRS couldn't resolve. If your application is rejected, the letter will explain the specific reason. Read it carefully. Fix whatever was wrong. Resubmit your application. There's no limit to how many times you can apply. Many people's applications are rejected the first time due to small mistakes, and they succeed on the second attempt. Don't be discouraged. Learn from what went wrong, correct it, and try again. Now, let's talk about what happens if you receive your I-10 and then, sometime later, your original documents are returned to you. If you mailed your passport and other documents to the IRS, they're supposed to mail them back to you. Usually this happens about 4 weeks after they process your application. So you might receive your I-10 letter first, then a few weeks later, a separate envelope with your passport and other documents. The IRS uses regular mail to return documents, not certified or tracked mail, which is a bit nerve-wracking, but it's their standard procedure. When your documents arrive, check them carefully. Make sure everything you sent is there. Your passport, your birth certificate, whatever you submitted. If something is missing, contact the IRS immediately. They have a process for searching for lost documents. Though, I'll be honest, recovering lost documents from the IRS can be difficult and time-consuming. This is yet another reason why using a certifying acceptance agent where you never have to mail your originals is so appealing. If you used a CAA or went to an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center in person, you already have your documents back, so you don't have to worry about this step. Your documents never left your possession. That's one of the big advantages of those methods. Step 7. Using your I-10. Congratulations! You now have an I-10. You've successfully navigated the application process. Now what? What can you actually do with this number? Let's talk about the practical uses of your I-10, because having the number is only valuable if you know how to use it. First and most obviously, you use your I-10 to file tax returns. Every year that you have income, or every year that you're required to file a tax return for any reason, you'll use your I-10. Where a form asks for your Social Security number, you write your I-10 instead. The I-10 works just like a Social Security number for tax purposes. You file your taxes, you report your income, you claim deductions and credits you're eligible for, and you either pay any taxes owed or you receive a refund if you overpaid. Your I-10 makes you part of the U.S. tax system.
Second, you can use your I-10 to open bank accounts. Many banks in the United States accept I-10 as a valid form of identification for opening checking accounts and savings accounts. Not all banks do. Some banks only accept Social Security numbers, but many major banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, Citibank, have policies that allow I-10 holders to open accounts. When you go to open an account, you'll need your I-10 letter, the CP565, plus a government-issued photo ID, like your passport or foreign ID card, plus proof of address, like a utility bill or lease agreement. The bank will ask for your Taxpayer Identification Number, and you provide your I-10. Some banks might be more familiar with this process than others, depending on whether they have experience serving immigrant communities. If one bank gives you trouble, try another. Having a bank account is foundational to financial stability in the United States. It's where you deposit money, where you pay bills from, where you build a banking history. Don't skip this step. Third, and this is huge, you can use your I-10 to apply for credit cards. As we discussed in our previous video, there are credit cards specifically available to I-10 holders. Secured credit cards are usually your starting point. You provide a security deposit, the bank issues you a credit card with a credit limit equal to your deposit, and you start building credit. The bank reports your payment history to the credit bureaus, and over time, you develop a credit score. Some unsecured credit cards also accept I-10 applications. When you fill out a credit card application, there's a line asking for your Social Security number or individual Taxpayer Identification Number. You provide your I-10. The process is the same as for someone with a Social Security number, just using a different number. Fourth, you can use your I-10 to apply for certain loans. Some lenders offer personal loans, auto loans, and even mortgages to I-10 holders. Not all lenders do. Many require a Social Security number. But there's a growing number of lenders, particularly those serving immigrant communities, who work with I-10 holders. Auto loans are fairly common. If you're buying a car and you have proof of income and a down payment, some dealerships and lenders will approve you with an I-10. Mortgages are harder, but not impossible. Some banks offer mortgages to I-10 holders
usually requiring larger down payments and higher credit scores than they would for someone with a Social Security number. Personal loans and credit builder loans are also available from some credit unions and online lenders. The key is to research lenders who explicitly state they accept ITIN applications. Don't waste your time applying to lenders who won't consider you. Fifth, you might use your ITIN for employment purposes in certain situations. Now, let me be very clear about this. An ITIN does not give you work authorization. If you're not authorized to work in the United States, having an ITIN doesn't change that. However, there are situations where people who are authorized to work, maybe they're on a work visa or they're in a transition period between visa statuses, don't yet have a Social Security number but need to start a job. In these limited situations, an employer might accept an ITIN temporarily while the employee is waiting for their Social Security number. This is not common, and many employers won't do this because they're required to verify work authorization through the I-9 process. But it does happen occasionally in specific circumstances. The more common situation is that self-employed individuals use an ITIN. If you're working as an independent contractor, maybe you're a freelancer, a consultant, a gig worker, you don't need anyone's permission to work for yourself. You earn income, and you report that income on your tax return using your ITIN. You pay self-employment taxes? This is completely legal and proper use of an ITIN. Sixth, your ITIN allows you to claim certain tax benefits. For example, if you have children who are U.S. citizens or residents, you might be eligible for the child tax credit, which can be worth up to $2,000 per child per year. If you're filing taxes with an ITIN, you can claim this credit for your qualifying children, even if you yourself don't have a Social Security number. There are other credits and deductions you might qualify for as well. The Earned Income Tax Credit has more restrictions, but other deductions for education expenses, medical expenses, business expenses, and more are available to ITIN holders filing tax returns. The point is, having an ITIN allows you to file accurate tax returns and claim the benefits you're entitled to. Seventh, having an ITIN helps you build a documented history in the United States. Every tax return you file, every year you use your ITIN, creates a paper trail showing you've been in the country, you've been economically active, you've been paying taxes. If your immigration status ever changes in the future, maybe you become a green card, maybe you become citizen or some other benefit, having years of tax returns filed with an ITIN shows a consistent, lawful pattern of tax compliance. This can be helpful in immigration proceedings. Immigration attorneys often advise their clients to file tax returns with ITINs even if they don't strictly have to, because it creates a positive record. Now let's talk about maintaining your ITIN, because there are some important things you need to know about keeping your ITIN active and valid. ITINs expire. This is a relatively new rule that started in recent years. If you don't use your ITIN on a federal tax return for 3 consecutive years, it will expire. Let me say that again because it's important. If 3 years pass without your ITIN appearing on a federal tax return, the IRS will deactivate your ITIN. It goes dormant. When you try to use it again, it won't work, and you'll have to apply to renew it. So how do you keep your ITIN active? File a federal tax return every year. Even if you don't owe any taxes, even if your income is below the filing threshold, even if you don't technically have to file. Filing a tax return, even if it shows zero income or minimal income, keeps your ITIN active. This is important for people who might have years where they're not working much, or they're students, or they're taking care of family members. You might think, I don't need to file taxes this year because I barely earned anything. But if you don't file, your ITIN clock starts ticking. 3 years of not filing, and it expires. So file every year, even if it's just a simple return. What if your ITIN already expired? Maybe you didn't know about this rule, maybe you went a few years without filing. You go to use your ITIN and you find out it's expired. Don't worry, you can renew it. The renewal process is similar to the original application process. You fill out Form W-7 again, check the box that says you're renewing an ITIN, provide updated identification documents, attach a tax return, and submit it. The IRS will reactivate your ITIN.
they'll usually assign you the same number you had before, just make it active again. The processing time is the same, 7 to 11 weeks. So if you discover your ITIN expired, start the renewal process as soon as possible. There's also something called ITIN middle digits. This is a bit technical, but worth knowing. ITINs issued before 2013 are being phased out and need to be renewed. The IRS is doing this in stages based on the middle digits of your ITIN. Your ITIN looks like 9XX-XX-XXX. Those middle two digits determine when you need to renew. The IRS has been sending letters to people whose ITINs are expiring based on these middle digits, telling them it's time to renew. If you have an old ITIN from many years ago, check the IRS website or call them to see if your ITIN needs renewal based on the middle digits. If it does, go through the renewal process even if you've been using it regularly. This is an administrative update the IRS is doing to improve their system. Now let's talk about updating information associated with your ITIN. What if you move? What if you change your name? What if something about your situation changes? If you move to a new address, you don't need to notify the IRS specifically about your ITIN. Your ITIN is just a number. It doesn't have an address attached to it. But when you file your next tax return, use your new address, and that updates your information in the IRS system. If you need the IRS to have your current address for correspondence purposes, you can file Form 8822, which is a change of address form. But for most people, simply filing your next tax return with your new address is sufficient. If you change your name, maybe you get married, maybe you divorce, maybe you legally change your name for any reason, you should notify the IRS. You'll submit a Form W-7 with the Change of Name box checked, along with legal documentation of the name change, like a marriage certificate or court order. The IRS will update their records so your ITIN is associated with your new name. This is important because if your name on your ITIN doesn't match the name on your tax returns or other documents, it can cause processing problems. Now let's talk about changing from an ITIN to a Social Security number. This is a common situation. Maybe you got an ITIN years ago, and now your immigration status has changed and you're eligible for a Social Security number. Maybe you got a green card. Maybe you got work authorization. Once you have a Social Security number, you should stop using your ITIN and start using your SSN. The IRS will automatically link your tax records from your ITIN to your new SSN when you file your next tax return showing both numbers. There's a process where you notify the IRS that you now have an SSN and you're no longer using your ITIN. The IRS will deactivate your ITIN and transfer all your tax history to your SSN. Your credit history with the credit bureaus might take a bit more work to transition, but the IRS side is straightforward.
Now I want to address some common concerns and questions that people have about ITINs. These are things I hear all the time, and I want to give you clear, honest answers. Question 1. Is it safe to apply for an ITIN if I'm undocumented? This is probably the most common question, and it's understandable. People are worried that applying for an ITIN will put them on some kind of government list that could be used against them. Let me say this as clearly as I can. The IRS does not share ITIN information with immigration enforcement agencies. This is not just a policy, it's backed by federal law. Section 6103 of the Internal Revenue Code protects the confidentiality of tax information. The IRS is prohibited from sharing your tax information with other agencies except in very specific, limited circumstances. And those circumstances do not include routine immigration enforcement. The IRS's mission is to collect taxes. If they started handing information over to immigration authorities, millions of people would stop paying taxes, and the government would lose billions of dollars in revenue. From a purely practical standpoint, the IRS has every incentive to keep your information private. Now, does this mean there's absolutely zero risk? In life, there's no such thing as zero risk. But millions of undocumented immigrants have ITINs and file taxes every year without any immigration consequences. It's a normal, accepted part of the system. Tax compliance is viewed as a positive thing, not a negative thing. Many immigration attorneys actually advise their clients to get ITINs and file taxes because it shows good faith compliance with U.S. laws.
Question 2. What if I made a mistake on my Form W-7? What if I realize after I mailed it that I wrote something wrong, or I forgot to sign it, or I attached the wrong document? If you catch the mistake before the IRS processes your application, you can send a corrected Form W-7 with a letter explaining the correction. But honestly, most of the time, if there's an error, the IRS will catch it and send you a suspension letter asking you to fix it. They don't immediately reject applications for small mistakes, they give you a chance to correct them. So if you realize you made an error, don't panic. Either the IRS will ask you to fix it, or if the error is minor and doesn't affect the outcome, they might process it anyway. If you're really worried, you can call the IRS at 1-800-829-1040 and explain the situation. But there's often not much they can do until your application actually reaches a processor. Question 3. Can I apply for an ITIN if I'm not in the United States? Yes, you can apply from anywhere in the world. You just mail your application to the same IRS address in Austin, Texas. The process is the same. You fill out Form W-7, provide your documents, attach a tax return if required, and mail it in. International mail takes longer, of course, so factor in additional time for delivery. And getting certified copies of documents from your home country's agencies might be easier if you're actually in that country, but there's no requirement that you be physically present in the United States to apply for an ITIN. Many people apply from abroad if they have U.S. source income that requires them to file U.S. taxes, or if they're preparing to move to the United States and want to have an ITIN ready. Question 4. How much does an ITIN cost? The ITIN itself is free. The IRS does not charge a fee for processing your ITIN application. However, there are related costs you might incur. If you use a Certifying Acceptance Agent, they will charge a fee for their services, typically ranging from $50 to a few $100s, depending on the complexity and whether they're also preparing your tax return. If you need to get certified copies of documents, your home country's government might charge fees. If you hire a tax preparer to help you prepare your tax return to attach to your ITIN application, that's a separate fee. If you use certified mail to send your application, that's a few dollars. But the IRS portion, the actual ITIN application processing, is completely free. Question 5. Can my ITIN be used for identity theft? Any identification number can potentially be misused by identity thieves, whether it's a social security number, an ITIN, a driver's license number, or anything else. The important thing is to guard your ITIN like you would guard your social security number. Don't give it out unless necessary. Don't post it on social media. Don't share it with people you don't trust. Use it for legitimate purposes, filing taxes, opening bank accounts, applying for credit. Keep your CP-516 letter in a safe place. If you suspect your ITIN has been compromised or used fraudulently, contact the IRS immediately. They have procedures for investigating identity theft. But in general, ITINs are no more or less vulnerable to identity theft than social security numbers. Standard precautions apply. Question 6. What happens to my ITIN if I leave the United States permanently? If you move back to your home country or relocate to another country, your ITIN doesn't automatically disappear. It stays in the IRS system. If you continue to have U.S. source income, maybe you own rental property in the U.S., or you have investments that generate U.S. income, you can continue to use your ITIN to file U.S. tax returns from abroad. If you no longer have any U.S. tax obligations, you simply stop using your ITIN. It will eventually expire after 3 years of non-use, but that's not a problem if you don't need it anymore. There's no formal process for canceling an ITIN. It just sits dormant. If you return to the United States in the future and need it again, you can renew it. Can I have both an ITIN and a Social Security number? Not simultaneously for the same purpose. The IRS expects you to use one or the other. If you're eligible for a Social Security number, you should get one and use that instead of an ITIN. If you currently have an ITIN and then become eligible for a Social Security number, you transition from one to the other. There's a brief overlap period where you might have both numbers during the transition, but the IRS will ultimately link them together and expect you to use your Social Security number going forward.
You can't choose to keep using your ITIN if you have a Social Security number. The Social Security number takes precedence. Can I work with just an ITIN without a Social Security number or work authorization? No. An ITIN does not provide work authorization. It does not give you legal permission to be employed in the United States. Employers are required to verify that their employees are authorized to work, typically through the I-9 process and E-Verify. An ITIN does not satisfy those requirements. However, an ITIN is perfectly fine for self-employment. If you're working for yourself, freelancing, running your own business, working as an independent contractor, you're not technically employed by anyone, so work authorization isn't the issue. You're just earning income, and you're required to report that income and pay taxes on it, which you do using your ITIN. The distinction is between working for an employer, requires work authorization, and working for yourself, requires reporting income and paying taxes, which ITIN allows. Let me share some practical tips and strategies for the ITIN application process based on common experiences and best practices. Tip 1. Apply with your tax return if possible. If you're required to file a tax return, it's best to apply for your ITIN at the same time you file that tax return. This serves as clear proof of your federal tax purpose. It also means that once your ITIN is processed, your tax return is processed immediately after, so you don't have to file taxes separately later. The entire process is bundled together. If you're not required to file a tax return and you're claiming an exception, that's fine too. But applications with tax returns attached tend to move through the system more smoothly. Tip 2. Apply early in the year if you can. If you need an ITIN for tax filing purposes and the tax deadline is April 15th, don't wait until April to apply. Remember, processing takes 7 to 11 weeks. If you apply in early April, you won't get your ITIN until June or July, which means your tax return will be filed late. Start the process in January or February if possible. This gives you plenty of buffer time. If you're applying outside of tax season, you can apply anytime. But again, earlier is better than later if you have a specific deadline or need. Tip 3. Double-check everything before you submit. Go through your Form W-7 line by line. Is every line filled out correctly? Did you sign it? Did you date it? Are your documents in order? Is your tax return attached if required? Is your mailing address correct? Taking an extra 30 minutes to review everything can save you weeks or months of delays if something gets rejected. Have a trusted friend or family member look it over with you. 2 sets of eyes catch more mistakes than one. Tip 4. Make copies of everything. Before you mail your application, make photocopies of your completed Form W-7, your tax return if you're attaching one, and your supporting documents. Keep these copies for your records. If something gets lost in the mail, you have a copy of what you sent. If the IRS asks questions later, you can refer to your copies. If you need to resubmit something, you have the information readily available. This is basic record keeping, but it's important. Tip 5. Use a certifying acceptance agent if you can afford it. I know I've mentioned this before, but I really can't stress it enough. The peace of mind of not having to mail your passport is worth the fee for most people. Yes, it costs money, but losing your passport or having to go months without it while it's at the IRS has its own costs and stresses. If you can find a CAA with reasonable fees, I highly recommend going that route. Tip 6. Keep your ITIN letter forever. Once you receive your CP 516 notice with your ITIN, treat it like a birth certificate or passport. It's a vital document.
Store the original safely. Make multiple copies. You'll need to show this letter repeatedly over the years, when opening bank accounts, applying for credit cards, filing future tax returns. Don't lose it. If you do lose it, you can request a duplicate from the IRS, but it's a hassle. Just guard the original carefully from day one. Tip 7. File taxes every year to keep your ITIN active. Even if your income is very low, even if you're not required to file. Filing a simple tax return once a year takes a few hours of your time and keeps your ITIN from expiring. It's much easier to file a return every year than to let your ITIN expire and have to go through the renewal process. Set a reminder for yourself. Every January or February, sit down and file your taxes. Make it an annual habit. Tip 8. Don't pay someone who promises to get your ITIN in a few days or weeks. The processing time is 7 to 11 weeks minimum. That's not negotiable. No one can speed it up, no matter what they claim. If someone is advertising ITIN in 2 weeks or guaranteed fast ITIN, they're either lying or they're misunderstanding the process. You might be giving money to a scammer. Legitimate CAAs and tax preparers will be honest about the timeline. They'll help you apply correctly, but they can't make the IRS process faster. Tip 9. Stay organized throughout the process. Create a folder, physical or digital, for all your ITIN-related documents. Your copy of Form W-7, your application date, your tracking information if you mailed it, the date you expect to hear back, and any correspondence from the IRS. Having everything in one place makes it easy to track progress and find information when you need it. This is especially important if you're applying for multiple family members. Keep each person's application documents separate and clearly labeled. Tip 10. Be patient and persistent. The ITIN process is slow. It's bureaucratic. It can be frustrating. But millions of people have successfully gotten ITINs, and you can too. If your application is rejected, learn why, fix it, and reapply. If it's taking longer than expected, follow up with the IRS. If you hit roadblocks, seek help from a CAA or tax professional. Don't give up. The ITIN is too valuable to your financial future to give up on. Keep pushing forward until you have that 9-digit number in hand. Now let's talk about some special situations and edge cases that don't apply to everyone but are important for those who find themselves in these circumstances. Special Situation 1. Applying for an ITIN for a newborn or infant. Babies can have ITINs. There's no minimum age. If you have a newborn and you want to claim that baby as a dependent on your tax return, the baby needs an identification number. If the baby is a U.S. citizen born in the United States, the baby should get a Social Security number. But if the baby is not a U.S. citizen, maybe born abroad or born in the U.S. but not automatically a citizen due to parent status, the baby can get an ITIN. The process is the same. You fill out Form W-7 for the baby, the parent or guardian signs it, you provide the baby's birth certificate and possibly other documents like medical records. You attach your tax return claiming the baby as a dependent. The IRS will issue an ITIN for the baby. That ITIN can be used year after year on your tax returns as long as you're claiming that child. Special Situation 2. Applying for an ITIN for a deceased person. This sounds unusual, but it happens. Maybe someone passed away and they had U.S. source income that needs to be reported on a final tax return, and they never had a Social Security number or ITIN. Their estate representative can apply for an ITIN posthumously to file that final tax return. The process is similar, but you include documentation of the person's death and your authority to act on behalf of the estate. Special Situation 3. Applying for an ITIN when you're already in the process of getting a Social Security number. Sometimes immigration status is in flux. Maybe you applied for a work visa and you're waiting for approval. Maybe you're in the process of adjusting status. You might be thinking, should I get an ITIN now or wait and see if I get a Social Security number? This is a personal decision. If you need to file taxes now and you don't have a Social Security number yet, get an ITIN. You can always transition to a Social Security number later. If your Social Security number is coming very soon, within a few weeks, it might make sense to wait. But if it's uncertain or months away, don't wait. Get the ITIN and move forward with your financial life. You can switch later. Special Situation 4. Applying for an ITIN when you have a tax identification number from another country. Many countries have their own tax ID systems. If you have a tax ID from your home country, that's fine. The U.S. ITIN is separate. They don't conflict. You'll use your home country's tax ID for taxes there, and your U.S. ITIN for taxes here. On Form W-7, there's a line asking if you have a foreign tax ID.
You can list it there, but it doesn't affect your ITIN application one way or the other. Special Situation 5. Applying for an ITIN renewal when you've lost your original ITIN letter and you don't remember your number. If you've had an ITIN for years and you've lost your CP 565 letter and you don't remember your exact ITIN number, you can still renew. When you call the IRS at 1-800-829-1040, explain your situation. They can look you up in their system by your name, date of birth, and address. They can tell you your ITIN number over the phone, and you can use that information to file a renewal application. They might also be able to mail you a duplicate CP 565 letter. Special Situation 6. Applying for an ITIN as a non-resident alien with no U.S. address. If you're applying from outside the United States and you don't have a U.S. address, you can use a foreign address on Form W-7. The IRS will mail your CP 565 letter to that foreign address. International mail is slower and less reliable, so make sure the address you provide is very accurate and stable. Some people use the address of a trusted friend or family member in the U.S. to ensure the letter arrives safely and then have it forwarded. This is acceptable as long as you have permission to use that address. Special Situation 7. Applying for an ITIN when you have a name that doesn't fit Western naming conventions. Many cultures use naming systems that don't translate neatly into first name, middle name, last name format that U.S. forms expect. Maybe you have multiple surnames. Maybe you only have one name. Maybe your name includes prefixes or suffixes that are culturally important. On Form W-7, do your best to fit your name into the boxes provided, but match exactly what's on your passport or identification documents. If your passport shows your name in a certain order, use that exact order. The IRS is accustomed to international names. They see names from every culture and country. As long as your Form W-7 matches your identification documents, you'll be fine. Let's talk about the relationship between ITINs and credit building, since this is such an important topic for many people watching this video. Getting an ITIN is often the first step in a journey toward building credit and achieving financial stability in the United States. Your ITIN is your key to entering the financial system. Without it, you're locked out of banks, credit cards, loans, and all the tools that people use to build wealth. With it, doors start opening. Once you have your ITIN, here's a roadmap for building credit. Step 1. Open a bank account. Use your ITIN and your passport or other ID to open a checking account at a bank that accepts ITIN customers. This establishes you in the banking system. Deposit money regularly. Keep the account in good standing. Never overdraft if you can help it. Step 2. After a few months of banking history, apply for a secured credit card. There are credit cards that explicitly accept ITIN holders. You provide a security deposit, usually $200 to $500, and the bank gives you a credit card with a credit limit equal to your deposit. Step 3. Use your secured credit card responsibly. Make small purchases every month. Pay off the full balance on time every month. This is the most important part. On-time payments are the foundation of good credit. Step 4. After 6 months of using your secured credit card, your credit score will start to appear. Check it for free using Credit Karma or Experian. Watch it grow month by month as you continue paying on time. Step 5. After about a year of perfect credit card payment history, you might qualify for an unsecured credit card, a credit limit increase, or other credit products. You're now building a credit history. You're no longer credit invisible. Over time, typically 2 to 3 years, you can build your credit score from nothing up to 700 or higher. This opens the door to car loans, mortgages, business loans, and financial opportunities that seemed impossible before. All of this starts with your ITIN. The ITIN is the foundation. Without it, you can't open the bank account. Without the bank account, you can't get the credit card. Without the credit card, you can't build credit. The ITIN is the first domino.
That's why going through the application process, even though it's time-consuming and sometimes frustrating, is so important. You're not just getting a number, you're getting access to the entire financial system. I want to address some myths and misconceptions about ITINs because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I want you to have accurate information. Myth 1. Getting an ITIN will get me deported. False. As I've explained, the IRS does not share ITIN information with immigration enforcement. Millions of people have ITINs without any immigration consequences. Getting an ITIN is actually a sign of good faith compliance with U.S. tax laws, which is generally viewed positively. Myth 2. I can use an ITIN to work for any employer. False. An ITIN does not provide work authorization. Employers are required to verify work authorization through I-9 and E-Verify. An ITIN doesn't satisfy those requirements. However, you can use an ITIN for self-employment and to report income you earn working for yourself. Myth 3. ITINs are only for undocumented immigrants. False. While many undocumented immigrants have ITINs, many other people do too. International students, spouses of U.S. citizens or residents, non-resident aliens with U.S. source income, dependents of visa holders, all sorts of people have legitimate reasons to have an ITIN. Myth 4. Once I get an ITIN, I have to file taxes every year even if I have no income. Technically false, but practically true. You're only required to file taxes if you have income above certain thresholds or if you have other filing requirements. But to keep your ITIN from expiring, you need to use it on a federal tax return at least once every 3 years. So while you're not legally required to file if you have no income, it's in your best interest to file a simple return, even with zero income, just to keep your ITIN active. Think of it as maintaining your financial access. Myth 5. I can buy an ITIN quickly from someone online or get one in a few days. Absolutely false. And this is a dangerous scam. ITINs are only issued by the IRS. Anyone claiming they can get you an ITIN faster than the normal processing time is lying. The only legitimate way to get an ITIN is through the application process we've discussed. Processing takes 7 to 11 weeks minimum. Anyone promising faster service is either scamming you or planning to create a fraudulent number, which could get you in serious legal trouble. Never pay someone who promises quick ITINs. Myth 6. If I get an ITIN, the government will know everything about my finances. The IRS knows what you report on your tax returns, just like they do for everyone who files taxes in the United States. They know your income, your deductions, what you report, but they don't have access to everything. They don't automatically know your bank account balances or monitor your spending. The ITIN simply identifies you in the tax system. You control what information you share through your tax returns. Myth 7. I don't need an ITIN because I don't owe any taxes. This misunderstands the value of an ITIN. Yes, the primary purpose is tax filing, but the secondary benefits, access to banking, ability to build credit, ability to apply for loans, are incredibly valuable even if you don't currently owe taxes. Many people get ITINs not because they have to, but because it opens financial doors they want to walk through. Myth 8. Getting an ITIN means I'm admitting I'm in the country illegally. False. The ITIN application doesn't ask about immigration status. It asks about tax residency and federal tax purpose. There are many completely legal reasons to have an ITIN. The application itself makes no statement about your immigration status one way or the other. It's simply a tax processing number. Myth 9. I can use someone else's ITIN or social security number instead of getting my own. This is both false and extremely dangerous. Using someone else's identification number is identity theft and tax fraud. It's a federal crime with serious penalties, including fines and imprisonment. It can also destroy the other person's credit and tax records. Never ever use someone else's number. Always get your own ITIN through the legitimate process. Myth 10. The ITIN process is too complicated. I need to hire an expensive immigration lawyer. The ITIN application is a tax matter, not an immigration matter. You don't need an immigration lawyer. What you might find helpful is a tax preparer or a certifying acceptance agent who specializes in ITIN applications. Many of these professionals charge reasonable fees, $50 to $200 typically, much less than immigration attorney fees. And many people successfully complete the application entirely on their own with no professional help at all. The process is detailed and requires attention to accuracy, but it's not impossibly complicated. Now let me walk you through a complete example scenario to show you how all of this comes together in a real-world situation. Let's imagine a person named Maria. Maria is from Mexico. She came to the United States 5 years ago. She works cleaning houses and earns income as an independent contractor. She's been paid in cash all these years and has never filed taxes because she doesn't have a social security number. She's heard about ITINs but wasn't sure if it was safe or worth the effort. But now Maria wants to build credit so she can eventually buy a car and maybe rent a better apartment. She decides to get an ITIN. Here's what Maria's process looks like step by step. In January, Maria goes to a local tax preparation office that serves the Latino community in her area. She asks if they are familiar with ITIN applications. The tax preparer says yes, they help people apply for ITINs all the time. In fact, they're a certifying acceptance agent authorized by the IRS. Maria feels relieved. The tax preparer explains the process. First, they'll help Maria prepare a tax return for the previous year. Maria explains her income from cleaning houses. She doesn't have formal documentation, but she has a notebook where she tracked approximately how much she earned each month. Based on her records, she earned about $20,000 throughout the year. The tax preparer explains that as a self-employed person, Maria needs to report this income on Schedule C and pay self-employment taxes. They help her prepare Form 1040 with Schedule C attached, showing her $20,000 in income, some basic business deductions for cleaning supplies and transportation, and calculating the taxes she owes. The total tax comes out to about $3,000. Maria is worried about owing $3,000, but the tax preparer explains that she can set up a payment plan with the IRS, paying monthly over time. The important thing is to file the return and get the ITIN process started. Now the tax preparer helps Maria fill out Form W-7. They go through it line by line. Maria's full legal name, her address in the United States, her date of birth, her country of citizenship, which is Mexico. Maria has a valid Mexican passport, which is perfect. That's the best document for ITIN applications. The tax preparer reviews Maria's passport carefully, examining it as a certifying acceptance agent. They fill out the certificate of accuracy form, stating that they've examined Maria's original passport and verified it's authentic. They make copies of the passport for their records and to send to the IRS. Then, Maria gets her passport back immediately. She doesn't have to mail it anywhere or be without it for months. The tax preparer packages everything together. Maria's completed Form W-7, the certificate of accuracy from the CAA, copies of Maria's passport certified by the CAA, and Maria's completed tax return for the year. They mail it all via certified mail to the IRS in Austin, Texas. The tax preparer charges Maria $150 for their services, $50 for the ITIN application assistance as a CAA, and $100 for preparing her tax return. Maria pays the fee. Now comes the waiting. The tax preparer tells Maria to expect 7 to 11 weeks, possibly longer since they're submitting during tax season in February. Maria goes home and continues her normal life. She tries not to obsess about it. About 3 weeks later, she receives a letter from the IRS. Her heart races. She opens it nervously. It's just an acknowledgement that they received her application and it's being processed. No problems indicated. She feels relieved. She waits some more. Week after week passes. 10 weeks go by. Then 11. Then 12. Maria starts to worry. In week 13, she finally receives another envelope from the IRS. She opens it carefully. Inside is her CP 565 notice. She has an ITIN. Her number starts with a 9. 9XXXXXXXX. She reads the letter multiple times. She makes 3 copies immediately. She puts the original in a safe place with her other important documents. A few weeks later, Maria receives another notice from the IRS about her tax return. It's been processed. She owes the $3,000 in taxes. The notice explains how to set up a payment plan. Maria calls the IRS, sets up a plan to pay $150 a month for 20 months. She starts making payments. Now Maria is current with her taxes. Now Maria has an ITIN. What's next? Maria goes to a nearby Bank of America branch. She brings her passport, her new ITIN letter, a utility bill showing her address, and some cash to open an account. She sits down with the bank representative and says she wants to open a checking account. The banker asks her for her Social Security number.
Maria says, "I have an individual taxpayer identification number instead." She shows her CP 565 letter. The banker is familiar with this. Bank of America accepts ITINs. They process Maria's application. Within 30 minutes, Maria has her first U.S. bank account. She deposits $200. She's given a debit card and checks. She's part of the banking system now. Over the next 3 months, Maria uses her bank account. She deposits her earnings from cleaning houses. She pays some bills online. She keeps the account active and in good standing. She's building banking history. Then Maria applies for her first credit card. She researches which cards accept ITIN holders. She decides on the Open Sky Secured Visa card because she's read it accepts ITINs and has no credit check. She fills out the application online. Where it asks for Social Security number, she enters her ITIN instead. She submits the application. Within a week, she's approved. The card requires a $300 security deposit. Maria mails a check from her new bank account. 2 weeks later, her credit card arrives in the mail. She activates it. She now has a $300 credit limit. Maria uses her credit card carefully. She buys groceries with it, maybe $50 a month. She pays off the full balance every single month on time. She sets up auto pay from her checking account so she never misses a payment. After 6 months of this, Maria checks her credit score for the first time using Credit Karma. She has a score. It's 630. Not great yet, but she exists in the credit system. She's no longer credit invisible. Month after month, Maria continues the same pattern. Small purchases, full payment, on time. Her credit score climbs. After a year, it's 680. After 18 months, it's 720. Maria applies for a second credit card, this time an unsecured card with rewards. She's approved. She applies for a small personal loan to pay off a debt. Approved. 3 years after getting her ITIN, Maria has excellent credit. She's in a position to qualify for a car loan. She goes to a dealership that works with ITIN holders. She gets approved for a car loan with a reasonable interest rate. She buys a reliable used car. Now she has transportation to get to more cleaning jobs and earn more money. She continues to file her taxes every year using her ITIN, paying what she owes or getting refunds when applicable. She's built financial stability. All of this started with that ITIN application. Maria's story is not unique. This is the pattern that thousands of people follow. ITIN leads to bank account, leads to credit card, leads to credit score, leads to loans and financial opportunity. The ITIN is the first domino. Everything else follows from there. As we start to wind down this comprehensive guide, I want to talk about what to do after you receive your ITIN. You have the number. You have the CP 565 letter. What now? Let me give you a clear action plan for your first 90 days as an ITIN holder. Day 1 through 7, make copies of your CP 565 letter. Store the original safely. Open a bank account if you don't have one already. Use your ITIN, passport, and proof of address. Deposit some money to activate the account. Day 8 through 30, set up online banking. Familiarize yourself with your bank's app and website. Start using your account for deposits and basic transactions. Begin researching secured credit cards that accept ITIN holders. read reviews, compare fees and features. Day 31 through 60, apply for your first secured credit card. Once approved and you receive the card, activate it immediately. Make a small purchase in the first week just to start building payment history. Set up auto pay so you never miss a payment. After 6 months of this, Maria checks her credit score for the first time using Credit Karma. She has a score. It's 630. Not great yet, but she exists in the credit system. She's no longer credit invisible. Month after month, Maria continues the same pattern. Small purchases, full payment, on time. Her credit score climbs. After a year, it's 680. After 18 months, it's 720. Maria applies for a second credit card, this time an unsecured card with rewards. She's approved. She applies for a small personal loan to pay off a debt. Approved. 3 years after getting her ITIN, Maria has excellent credit. She's in a position to qualify for a car loan. She goes to a dealership that works with ITIN holders. She gets approved for a car loan with a reasonable interest rate. She buys a reliable used car. Now she has transportation to get to more cleaning jobs and earn more money. She continues to file her taxes every year using her ITIN, paying what she owes or getting refunds when applicable. She's built financial stability. All of this started with that ITIN application. Maria's story is not unique. This is the pattern that thousands of people follow. ITIN leads to bank account, leads to credit card, leads to credit score, leads to loans and financial opportunity. The ITIN is the first domino. Everything else follows from there. As we start to wind down this comprehensive guide, I want to talk about what to do after you receive your ITIN. You have the number. You have the CP 565 letter. What now? Let me give you a clear action plan for your first 90 days as an ITIN holder. Day 1 through 7, make copies of your CP 565 letter. Store the original safely. Open a bank account if you don't have one already. Use your ITIN, passport, and proof of address. Deposit some money to activate the account. Day 8 through 30. Set up online banking. Familiarize yourself with your bank's app and website. Start using your account for deposits and basic transactions. Begin researching secured credit cards that accept ITIN holders. Read reviews. Compare fees and features. Day 31 through 60. Apply for your first secured credit card. Once approved and you receive the card, activate it immediately. Make a small purchase in the first week just to start building payment history. Set up auto pay so you never miss a payment. After 6 months of this, Maria checks her credit score for the first time using Credit Karma. She has a score. It's 630. Not great yet, but she exists in the credit system. She's no longer credit invisible. Month after month, Maria continues the same pattern. Small purchases, full payment, on time. Her credit score climbs. After a year, it's 680. After 18 months, it's 720. Maria applies for a second credit card, this time an unsecured card with rewards. She's approved. She applies for a small personal loan to pay off a debt. Approved. 3 years after getting her ITIN, Maria has excellent credit. She's in a position to qualify for a car loan. She goes to a dealership that works with ITIN holders. She gets approved for a car loan with a reasonable interest rate. She buys a reliable used car. Now she has transportation to get to more cleaning jobs and earn more money. She continues to file her taxes every year using her ITIN, paying what she owes or getting refunds when applicable. She's built financial stability. All of this started with that ITIN application. Maria's story is not unique. This is the pattern that thousands of people follow. ITIN leads to bank account, leads to credit card, leads to credit score,
leads to loans and financial opportunity. The ITIN is the first domino. Everything else follows from there. As we start to wind down this comprehensive guide, I want to talk about what to do after you receive your ITIN. You have the number. You have the CP 565 letter. What now? Let me give you a clear action plan for your first 90 days as an ITIN holder. Day 1 through 7, make copies of your CP 565 letter. Store the original safely. Open a bank account if you don't have one already. Use your ITIN, passport, and proof of address. Deposit some money to activate the account. Day 8 through 30, set up online banking. Familiarize yourself with your bank's app and website. Start using your account for deposits and basic transactions. Begin researching secured credit cards that accept ITIN holders. Read reviews. Compare fees and features.
Day 31 through 60. Apply for your first secured credit card. Once approved and you receive the card, activate it immediately. Make a small purchase in the first week just to start building payment history. Set up autopay so you never miss a payment. Day 61 through 90. Continue using your credit card responsibly. Pay the full balance every month. Start tracking your credit. Sign up for free monitoring through Credit Karma or Experian. You won't see a score yet, but you're building history. File your tax return for the current year if you haven't already, making sure to use your new ITIN. After 90 days, maintain your good habits. Use credit responsibly. Pay on time every month. File taxes every year to keep your ITIN active. Check your credit score every few months to watch your progress. After 6 to 12 months, consider applying for additional credit products, a second credit card, a credit builder loan, or other tools to diversify your credit profile. This is your roadmap. ITIN is the beginning, not the end. It's the keys that unlocks the door. But you have to walk through that door and take action. Open the bank account, get the credit card, build the credit, file the taxes. Each step builds on the previous one. Within a few years, you can transform your financial situation completely. I know this has been a long, detailed journey through the ITIN application process. We've covered everything from what an ITIN is, to who needs one, to every step of the application, to maintaining your ITIN, to using it for financial access. This is a lot of information. You might feel overwhelmed. That's normal. But I want you to take away a few key points. First, getting an ITIN is achievable. Millions of people have done it. The process is well established. The IRS processes thousands of applications every week. You can do this. Second, the ITIN itself is free. You might choose to spend money on professional help, a tax preparer, or certifying acceptance agent, and that's a reasonable investment. But the actual ITIN costs nothing. The IRS doesn't charge application fees. Third, yes, the process takes time. 7 to 11 weeks is frustrating when you're eager to move forward with your financial life. But this time will pass whether you apply or not. If you apply today, in 3 months, you'll have your ITIN. If you don't apply, in 3 months, you'll be in the same position you're in now. Start the process. Fourth, the ITIN is more than just a number. It's financial access. It's dignity. It's the ability to participate in the economy with transparency rather than in the shadows. It's the first step toward credit, loans, mortgages, business ownership, and wealth building. It's worth the effort. Fifth, you don't have to do this alone. There are professionals who help with ITIN applications every day. There are community organizations that provide assistance. There are tax preparers who specialize in serving immigrant communities. Ask around. Find help if you need it. Sixth, completing the ITIN application is an act of courage and planning. You're taking control of your financial future. You're making a decision to build something better for yourself and your family. That's admirable. That takes strength. As you drift off to sleep tonight, or as you finish listening to this guide, I want you to feel empowered. You now know everything you need to know about getting an ITIN. You understand what it is, why it matters, who needs one, and every step of the application. You know the 3 application methods: mail, IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center, or Certifying Acceptance Agent, and the pros and cons of each. You know what documents you need. You know how to fill out W-7A. You know about the waiting period and what to expect. You know how to maintain your ITIN once you have it, and you know how to use it for financial access, build credit, and create financial opportunity. This is your roadmap. ITIN is the beginning, not the end. It's the key that unlocks the door, but you have to walk through that door and take action. Open the bank account, get the credit card, build the credit, file the taxes. Each step builds on the previous one. Within a few years, you can transform your financial situation completely. Your documentation status does not define your potential. Your lack of a social security number does not limit what you can achieve financially. The ITIN is proof of that. It's a tool created specifically to allow people in your situation to participate in the tax system and access financial services. Use it. Embrace it. Let it be the foundation on which you build your American financial life. You are capable of doing this. You are worthy of financial stability and success. Your journey toward credit, toward home ownership, toward business ownership, toward the life you want for yourself and your family, that journey begins with 9 digits, your ITIN. Go get it. Rest well tonight. Tomorrow, you can start the process. Tomorrow, you can take the first step. Tomorrow, you can fill out W-7A, gather your documents, and begin this journey. But for now, rest. You've learned everything you need to know about getting an ITIN. The information is in your mind now, settling in, becoming part of your knowledge. When you wake up, you'll remember. You'll know what to do. You'll be ready. Your financial freedom starts with your ITIN. And your ITIN starts with you making the decision to apply. You can do this. I believe in you. Borderless Finance believes in you. Millions of people who have walked this path before you believe in you. You are not alone. You are part of a community of people building better futures, one ITIN at a time. Sleep peacefully tonight. Dream of the possibilities. And when you're ready, take action. Get your ITIN. Open those doors. Build that credit. Create that future. It's waiting for you. All you have to do is take the first step. Good night from your Borderless Finance. Your financial future is borderless. Your potential is limitless. And it all begins with your individual taxpayer identification number. Get your ITIN. Build your future. You've got this.